arrived at the restaurant 15 minutes early, just like always. Chez Laurent had been our family's go-to place for birthdays, anniversaries, everything that mattered. I wore the navy blue dress Patrick once said made me look like elegance personified. A table for six reserved, under Nevaeh Davidson, 45 years old today, and still foolish enough to believe people who promise forever. The hostess Marie smiled warmly as she led me to the corner table. Special occasion, she asked, adjusting the lilies I had specially requested. My birthday, I said with a soft grin. My husband is bringing the cake. I said that with certainty, not realizing that would be the last time I believed in anything about that man. The first 30 minutes passed in anxious excitement. I kept checking my phone, adjusting the silverware, smiling at the waitstaff like everything was fine. But slowly, painfully, each passing minute carved out the truth: no one was coming. Not Patrick. Not my sister Vanessa. Not my best friend Elizabeth. Red velvet cake from Sweetheart Bakery, the same one we had at our wedding 15 years ago. I reminded Patrick twice. He smiled both times. And now I was sitting alone at a table, big enough for people who used to say they loved me. Other diners celebrated engagements, toasted anniversaries, sang happy birthday around sparkling desserts. My table stayed silent. No toasts, no smiles, no love. Just 5 empty chairs and a sinking realization this was not neglect. This was betrayal. Or worse, planned orchestrated cruelty. The kind that does not forget candles or traffic. The kind that makes sure you suffer on your special day. I was just about to ask for the check when Leo the waiter walked over again, not with a bill, but with something that made my breath catch in my throat. A folded slip of paper. No logo. No fanfare. Just my name written across the front in handwriting I did not recognize. A gentleman dropped this off an hour ago, Leo said gently. Said it was for you. Confused, I opened it. 7 words. Just 7. But they split my chest wide open. Check your phone. They are all together. I stared at it for a moment, unsure if it was some cruel joke. Then I picked up my phone and opened my messages. My hands shook as I tapped open the family group chat. The last message I had sent was a reminder: dinner at 6. See you all soon, no replies. But now there were photos. My sister Vanessa sitting beside Patrick in a hotel bar, holding hands across the table. She was laughing, wearing my grandmother's ring. The same ring that disappeared from my jewelry box 3 months ago. My breath hitched. Another image followed Vanessa and Patrick stepping into a hotel elevator, his hand on her lower back. A timestamp from just an hour ago. My stomach turned. I scrolled further. A credit card transaction my credit card used to buy a necklace from Gold Plus Ivy, the boutique I had introduced Vanessa to. I had noticed a charge I could not place last month. Patrick said it was a billing error, a glitch. Right. Just like my missing perfume. Just like my growing paranoia he had mocked behind my back. I gripped the phone tighter as the pieces crashed together in my mind, like glass shattering the missing heirloom, the gaslighting Vanessa's sudden shift from sisterly warmth to distant politeness. I had trusted them both with pieces of me I would never get back. Leo returned with a glass of water I had not asked for. He placed it gently in front of me. Are you okay? I looked up at him. Not even close, I whispered. But thank you. He nodded, like he understood something deeper, something he had seen before in too many eyes. I sat there not crying, not reacting, just absorbing. I was not just forgotten. I was erased, disrespected, and now fully betrayed. And I would not let it slide. If this betrayal made you furious, drop a comment, subscribe, and help me share more real stories they wish we'd stay silent about. The ride home felt like someone had pressed mute on the entire city. I drove in silence, my hands gripping the steering wheel like it was the only thing anchoring me to the world. The betrayal had gone from a suspicion to a slow ache to a brutal truth. Vanessa, my sister, Patrick, my husband, the 2 people I had always protected, who I had defended against everyone's doubts, had been sleeping together under the same roof of trust I built brick by brick. My thoughts raced to all the times I gave Vanessa a place to stay when she was broke, heartbroken, jobless. all the dinners she shared at our table, all the secrets I trusted her with, and now she was wearing my grandmother's ring like it was some trophy for ruining my life. The kind of violation you cannot scream about because it sits too deep in your chest to rise up. I walked into the house like a stranger. It felt hollow. Every framed photo on the wall mocked me. Family vacations, Christmases, that beach trip to Charleston, where Vanessa tagged along because her boyfriend dumped her 2 days before. I let her cry on my shoulder while Patrick made her tea. Looking back now, I wonder, was that the moment it started? Or was it when I was sick with the flu last February and Patrick insisted she come help around the house? God, how blind was I? In the kitchen, I stood in front of the sink and stared at the unopened bottle of red wine Patrick had bought last week. "For your birthday?" he said with that half smile I once thought was charming. It was still sitting there untouched, like the love I had wasted on him. I opened the drawer where we kept receipts and bills and found it my missing Amex statement. I had noticed it was gone weeks ago, and Patrick claimed he filed it. But there it was, hidden beneath a pile of expired coupons. I scanned the charges and found more evidence: a boutique hotel 3 towns over, dinner reservations, a spa package under Vanessa's name. All charged to me. My money. My life used as currency to fund their affair. I felt rage bloom in my throat like fire. But instead of screaming, I did something else. I sat down and started taking notes. Times, dates, receipts, screenshots. I forwarded everything to a private email account I had made years ago during a brief consulting job. I labeled the folder Clarity, not Revenge Clarity, because if they were going to burn my world down, I was going to make sure they knew exactly who lit the match. Patrick was still out. Vanessa too, probably. I did not text either of them. I wanted them to sit in their delusion one more night. Let them laugh over dessert while I planned the undoing of every lie they had stitched together. I did not sleep that night. I lay in bed fully clothed, staring at the ceiling, while the house creaked and settled around me. Patrick still had not come home. Vanessa, of course, had not texted, and I did not expect her to. I did not want her to. I had passed the point of heartbreak. What replaced it was sharper, cold, clear. By morning, I knew exactly what I needed to do. I called in sick to work, then slipped out the front door before the sun had even risen. I drove back to Chez Laurent, not for closure, but for information, and Leo was already there. He was setting up the outdoor tables, sleeves rolled up, steam rising from a cup of black coffee at his side. He looked surprised, but not shocked when he saw me. "I figured you might come back," he said. "There is more I think you need to see." In the quiet morning light, Leo led me through the kitchen and into the back office where the restaurant kept its security archive. He had already pulled the footage. I watched the video play out with a stillness I did not recognize in myself. At 5:57 p.m., Patrick walked past the window outside, laughing, his hand resting low on Vanessa's back. She was dressed in cream silk and heels too expensive for her usual budget. I watched as they peered through the restaurant glass, looking straight at the table set for 6. At me. My face, smiling hopeful, turned toward the door they never intended to walk through. Then they turned away. No hesitation, no guilt. Leo paused the footage. "I thought you should have this," he said, sliding over a flash drive. "I also overheard them last week. Patrick said something about making sure your birthday was the last time he had to pretend. It sounded ugly." His jaw clenched. "You deserved better than that." I looked at him, unsure whether to cry or thank him or both. Instead, I nodded. "I will never forget this," I said. He waved it off. "People like that, your husband, your sister, they count on you staying silent. They count on you being too broken to push back." I smiled then, a bitter, tired thing. Then, they have never met this version of me. I left the restaurant that morning with a flash drive, a renewed spine, and a single clear mission: they would never forget what they tried to erase. I was not going to scream. I was not going to plead. I was going to expose them inch by inch, lie by lie, using their own words and images. That night, I started organizing everything: the security footage, The texts, the receipts, the photos. I opened a hidden folder on my desktop and titled it, Birthday Truth. Not just for me, but for every woman who has ever sat at a table set for love and received nothing but silence. By the next morning, I had memorized every second of the footage, every glance, every touch, every deliberate step Patrick and Vanessa took away from me and toward each other. What burned the most was not the betrayal itself, I had already come to terms with that. What haunted me was the cold precision with which they executed it. It was not messy, it was planned. They made a decision to hurt me, and then they dressed up and followed through. The more I stared at the timestamp, the clearer it became I was never meant to be part of their future. I was an obstacle to be cleared, preferably quietly, but I was done being quiet. I started with Ethan and May Patrick's parents. They had always treated me warmly, calling me their daughter-in-love, giving me holiday recipes passed down for generations. I hesitated before calling, not because I doubted their loyalty, but because I knew how painful the truth would be. When May answered, her voice was cheerful. "Sweetheart, we were wondering why the dinner was canceled." "Is everything all right?" My throat tightened. "It was never canceled," I said calmly. "Patrick told you I canceled it?" There was a pause. "He said you had an episode, that you were overwhelmed, that you called it off at the last minute. We were so worried." I took a breath, then said, "I need you to check your email." Within minutes, I heard the sharp inhale through the phone as May clicked through the images I had sent Vanessa, wearing my heirloom ring, the security footage of Patrick, and her peeking into the restaurant, the charges on my credit card, the receipts. "I included everything," May gasped. "That ring, Nevaeh, that was your grandmother's." "I know." Silence stretched between us, thick with shock. "I cannot believe this," she whispered. Ethan got on the line next. "We are coming over," he said firmly. They arrived within the hour, both pale and shaken. May could barely look me in the eyes. "I believed him," she said. "He said you had been acting erratic. He told us you were imagining things." I handed her the printed receipts. "Do I look delusional?" I asked. Ethan clenched his jaw. "He used us. He lied to all of us." He looked at May. "We are done protecting him." Something shifted in that moment. For the first time, I was not the one carrying the weight of their choices. I was not alone. I had truth. I had proof. And now I had witnesses who believed me. We sat at the kitchen table, going over the timeline. May's hands trembled as she traced the date on the hotel receipt. "We were at church with him that day," she muttered. "He left early, said he had a headache." No, I thought. He had plans. As Ethan stood up, his voice low but clear, he said, "If Patrick thinks he can rewrite this story, he is about to learn whose side the truth stands on." I waited until the evening to make my move. There was something poetic about it, unwrapping the truth, just as the night began the same way Patrick and Vanessa had unwrapped their affair while I sat alone at that restaurant. I reopened the family group chat, the same one that had been silent on my birthday. For years, that thread had been a stream of photos, recipes, jokes, memories. It used to feel like love. Now it felt like the perfect stage. I uploaded one photo, just one. Vanessa and Patrick seated at the bar of the hotel lounge, her hand on his thigh. My grandmother's diamond ring catching the light like it was proud of itself. I let the image sit there, no caption, no explanation, just a single text after it. "Here is where they were while I waited for all of you." Then I turned off my phone. I poured a glass of wine, not the bottle Patrick bought, but one I had saved for a celebration I never got to have. I took a slow sip and stared out the window. And then, like clockwork, the messages came in. Dozens. Then hundreds. My phone buzzed nonstop. Some texts were from confused cousins asking if the photo was fake. Others were from Patrick's friends saying they had no idea and were so sorry. But the ones that hit hardest were from Elizabeth and my younger brother Mason. "Elizabeth, I thought you canceled Nevaeh. Vanessa told me you were sick. I had no idea. I feel disgusting." "Mason, she's your sister. How could she? I'm coming over." The shame rippled outward, landing where it was meant to. For so long, I had carried the embarrassment of being forgotten, abandoned, overlooked. Now that embarrassment belonged to them. Patrick tried calling me 3 times. I declined everyone. Vanessa texted once, "Can we please talk?" I left it on read. Elizabeth called me next, her voice trembling. "Nevaeh, I swear to you I didn't know. She said you were unstable. She said Patrick was trying to get you help." I laughed bitterly. "And you believed her? I don't know what to say." "Say less. You already said enough when you did not show up." I hung up. Within an hour, someone had taken a screenshot of the photo, and it was spreading. My niece forwarded it back to me with a single word: brutal. Good. Because I was done protecting people who stabbed me in the back. I was done hiding pain so others could remain comfortable. The truth was not a weapon, it was a mirror. And I wanted every one of them to look into it. For once, I was not the one apologizing. I was not the one explaining. I was the one revealing, and they were the ones scrambling. Patrick came home the next morning, like nothing had happened. No guilt, no shame. Just that smug, empty expression he wore when he thought he had already won. He walked into the kitchen, whistling keys, jingling in his hand, and set down a paper bag from Sweetheart Bakery. "Got your favorite," he said casually, pulling out a red velvet cupcake like it was some peace offering. "Figured we could do a belated birthday breakfast." My hands were steady as I set down my coffee cup. I did not bother with small talk. "Vanessa wearing my grandmother's ring, was that part of your plan too?" He froze. The color drained from his face, fast and obvious. "What are you talking about?" he stammered. I stood and slid the printed photos across the counter. "Do not insult me with denial." Leo gave me the footage. "I know where you were. I know where she was. And I know exactly whose credit card paid for your hotel suite." Patrick opened his mouth to speak, but before he could utter another pathetic lie, the front door opened. Vanessa walked in. She was wearing the ring. She actually had the nerve to wear it in my house. Our house, as if she had earned it, as if it belonged to her now. She stopped cold when she saw me standing in the kitchen, her smile faltering. "Nevaeh, I save it," I snapped. "You two deserve each other." And right on cue, Ethan and May arrived, stepping through the front door with a force I had never seen in them. May looked heartbroken. Ethan looked furious. Patrick tried to deflect. "You are all blowing this out of proportion." "We were not trying to hurt anyone," Ethan cut him off. "You lied to us. You lied to your wife. You used her money to finance an affair with her own sister, and you let us believe she was unstable. You dragged us into your filth." Vanessa's eyes widened. "You told them I was unstable." I laughed bitterly. "Oh, sweetie." "He told everyone." Ethan turned to me and nodded. "We brought someone with us." And that was when the locksmith stepped in from behind him. Patrick finally snapped out of his delusion. "What the hell is this?" he barked. "This is still my house." "No," I said, voice firm and calm. "It is not. Not anymore. The divorce papers will be on your desk by noon. I already canceled your cards." And the guest bedroom cleared out. "You can leave with whatever fits in your trunk." Patrick looked stunned, cornered by a reality he never saw coming. Vanessa muttered, "This is insane." "No," I said, locking eyes with her. "What is insane is thinking I would stay quiet forever." Patrick packed fast, but not fast enough to avoid the stares from the neighbors. Word travels quickly in a quiet suburb, especially when a man storms out of his home with garbage bags full of clothes and a woman screaming behind him. Vanessa tried to follow him to the car, but I stopped her at the porch. "You are not welcome here anymore," I said, my voice calm. "Not as a sister, not as anything." She looked stunned, as if consequences had never occurred to her. "Where am I supposed to go?" "Not my problem," I said, stepping back inside and shutting the door. May helped me close the curtains, while Ethan stood outside, like a silent witness to his son's disgrace. When Patrick tried to argue about the house, I handed him the deed. "I bought this place before we got married. You signed the prenup, remember?" He clenched his jaw, but he knew. I had played nice for years. Now I was playing smart. After they were gone, the silence in the house was finally peaceful. Not empty, but clean, like the aftermath of a storm, when the sky is clear and everything smells like new beginnings. I went to the closet and pulled out a shoebox I had not touched in years. Letters from my mother, birthday cards, I had tucked away, notes I wrote to myself in harder times. I reread one that said, "Do not shrink yourself for people who refuse to grow." I pinned it to the fridge. 3 days later, the fallout went public. Somehow the photo from the group chat had made its way to Vanessa's workplace. She worked in HR, ironic considering her betrayal, and the image of her sitting in a hotel lounge with her brother-in-law wearing a stolen heirloom was not exactly on brand. She was suspended pending investigation. Patrick fared no better. A mutual friend posted a cryptic status about a man who used his wife's money to fund his mistress's wardrobe and tagged no one but everyone knew. He called me that night furious. "You made me look like a monster." "You did that all by yourself," I replied, and hung up. Then came the emails. Women I had met over the years, neighbors, coworkers, even one of Vanessa's former friends messaged me with their own stories. Stories of betrayal, of being silenced, of walking away too late. I read everyone. I replied to each one. And for the first time in years, I felt seen. I started a blog. Nothing flashy, just my name, my truth. No dramatics, no exaggeration, just screenshots, fax receipts. I called it Birthday Truth. It was not revenge, it was restoration. A place where silence no longer had power. Vanessa and Patrick were free to build their lie elsewhere. I had already burned down the foundation. It has been 6 months since the night everything collapsed, and strangely, I have never felt more whole. The woman who once sat alone at that restaurant, hoping her husband and family would show up, feels like a ghost of the past. I keep her close, not out of pity, but out of reverence. She endured the unthinkable and walked out stronger. She is the reason I remember what I deserve. Patrick tried to apologize. Once, he emailed me a long letter full of excuses, half remorse, and something that almost resembled regret. He said things like, "We never meant to hurt you, and it just happened." I never responded. I forwarded it to his parents, then deleted it. I do not need closure from a man who mistook convenience for love and manipulation for affection. Vanessa, I have not heard from her since her HR department quietly pushed her out. She moved to another city, I heard. She left behind scorched earth and a family that no longer takes her calls. As for me, I took a long solo trip to the Pacific Northwest. Just me, my thoughts, and a rented Jeep with a map I barely used. I stopped at quiet lakes and small bookstores. I sat under trees with a notebook in my lap, writing not about pain, but about power. I wrote about the days I chose myself, even when it was easier to fold. And I wrote about the kind of revenge no one talks about, the kind that does not scream or lash out, but stands tall, silent, undeniable. The blog gained traction. Birthday Truth became more than a place to unload. It became a safe haven for people, mostly women, who had stories but no voice. I started hosting virtual meetups, and soon we were sharing stories over coffee and cameras. Women in their 20s, 60s, and every age in between. One of them, a retired teacher named Rosalind, said, "You did not just survive, Nevaeh. You built something from the wreckage." She was right. I built peace, boundaries, self-respect. I still live in the same house. The curtains are open now. The air feels lighter. I kept the dining table set for 6, not because I expect them to return, but because I reclaimed the space. I host friends now. Real friends. People who show up on time with laughter in their pockets and respect in their eyes. Every now and then, I pass Chez Laurent, the restaurant, where it all began. Leo still works there. We nod when we see each other, no need for words. Some truths need no retelling. They just become part of who you are. So if you are sitting at a table right now, wondering if you are the problem, look again. Sometimes the silence is your answer. Sometimes the absence is protection. If you felt seen by this story, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with someone who needs to be reminded. Silence is not loyalty. It is time to rise.